Hello, everybody. Welcome back to MasterAdvisor. Today is February 22nd, 2024. This is episode number 85. Today's topic is personalized service. I'm really excited about the conversation we're going to have. We've got a lot to cover, and I know a lot of different topics are going to come up within the larger topic, including setting expectations, talking about service fees, things like that. So let's go ahead. We'll get a couple of housekeeping announcements out of the way, and then we'll introduce our sponsor for today's episode. The first is, as always, go ahead and switch into speaker view on the Zoom. That's going to be the best way to watch these episodes. And also the chat on the bottom right is open if you want to open it up on your Zoom. We'll grab some questions as we go along today. We also like to drop anything that's relevant or adds to the discussion in there, any links, things like that. So if you want to have it open up, that'll add a little bit to today's episode too. Speaking of links, we're going to drop the link to our YouTube channel in the chat right now. That's the home to all of these episodes and any other video or audio content we put out. It has the episode from a couple weeks ago where we spoke about training with Heather DiPietro and Bridget Merritt of the Travel Sales Group. It has a bunch of other episodes on there, a bunch of episodes on service fees, on branding, on acquiring customers, social media. We've done 85 of these, like I said, so there's a lot in there. So if you want to head over there, subscribe to the channel, like the videos, they're all there on demand. There's no paywall. So if you have some time, you want to catch up on some training, want to catch up on these episodes, it's a good place to go. And again, subscribing does always help us grow this series. So we really appreciate all and any interactions on there. One more announcement before I go ahead and introduce Tracy. Our next episode is scheduled for March 14th. We're going to be talking about how a positive mindset drives success. A week more than usual between these episodes, simply because our team has our travel marketplace conference in Vancouver the week before. If you're in Vancouver, if you're headed to the conference, please, we can't wait to see you. But our team will be there, so we're delaying that episode for weeks. So March 14th, how a positive mindset drives success. We'll be back here. We're hoping you all come back, and we'll hope to see you there. All right. Like I mentioned, we're really happy to have a sponsor for today's episode. I'm very, very excited to be joined by Tracy Jardine from ALG Vacations, who's joining us to tell us a little bit about what's going on at ALG Vacations and to introduce today's guest too.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
So good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. My name is Tracy Jardine, and I'm a business development manager for ALG Vacations. My territory is the Pacific Northwest, and I am based in Seattle. I am happy to be here today to introduce this topic, and I wanted to thank Travel Market Report for sharing this information with our travel advisor community. So, how to provide personal service. From speaking with my travel advisors over the years, providing personalized service really sets them apart. You know, being able to tailor vacation itineraries to their clients' preferences and interests, as well as offering them value and their expertise, really creates a great relationship with their clients. So personalized service is very important to them. Also, to do this, the travel advisors find it very important for them to educate themselves. Keep updated on destination information, such as popular places within a destination, hotels, tours, etc. You know, becoming an expert or specialist in a destination or a niche in travel, like weddings, is also important to them. And lastly, probably the most important is support during the planning stages, as well as after travel. Knowing that all of this is important, ALG Vacations provides the assistance that travel advisors need, which extends to the travel advisors being able to provide personalized service experiences to their clients. I don't have time today to go through all the ways that we assist travel advisors, but here are a few. Our online booking tool is easy to use to customize trip itineraries. It includes a wide range of destinations, hotels, transportation, tour and activity options, and travel protections plans. In addition, we negotiate promotions and special amenities like our exclusive perks which is a list of participating resorts that offer added value amenities that travel advisors can add to their packages. Like I mentioned, education is also important to offering a more personalized experience. So ALG Vacations provides plenty of educational opportunities for travel advisors. In addition to destination familiarization tours, we host local events like Plan with a Pro, and every year we host our annual Ascend event. We also offer an online educational calendar, which provides a list of live webinars that focus on how to book with us, how to use our portal for individual travelers as well as groups, hotels, destination webinars, even how to use social media to support your business. We also have a self-guided certification program, ALGV Pro, which provides travel advisors with everything they need to start to book with us. And the last thing is support. Our company offers multiple communication channels, including a live chat, email, and phone support. And let's not forget the National Business Development Manager team. We are available to help travel advisors within our territories, throughout their booking journey with us. So you can see ALG Vacations offers travel advisors a variety of ways for them to educate themselves and create customized itineraries, along with the support to provide the personalized service that meets their clients' expectations. So that's all I have for you today. But before I make the next introduction, I would like to invite everyone to join us on Facebook Live for a live event at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Central Time, with ALG Vacations Executive Vice President Jackie Marks and our official travel advisor champion for 2024, Carson Kressley. Yes, the Carson Kressley. So one lucky winner will also win a 3-night stay at the brand new Secrets Playa Blanca, which also is where Jackie and Carson will be broadcasting from. So you won't want to miss that.
Nice.
Okay, now I'd like to introduce Jamie Anderson, who is the owner of Travel and Cruise Desk based in Lake Oswego, Oregon.
Thank you, Tracy. And before we get to Jamie, I see Lindsay and Tom both dropped links for that broadcast later today into the chat. So if anyone does want to attend, like Tracy said, you can go ahead and register an RSVP and you'll be let in. But we're really excited to have Jamie here. Thanks for joining us, Jamie. I know like Tracy, you're a West Coaster, so we appreciate you being on sort of relatively early in the day, and we're excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, we're lucky to know Tracy pretty well. She's our local BDM and is amazing. So it's so nice to have her co-host with me.
Yeah.
My name is Jamie Anderson. I own the Travel and Cruise Desk, a full-service travel agency based in Lake Oswego, Oregon, just outside of Portland. I'm essentially one of the lucky ones that got into the travel industry by happy accident. I'm originally from Scotland, met a girl over there, ended up over here. We moved around a little bit for school, and her mother said, "Hey, do you want to, instead of finding a job in every town you go to, do you want to come and work at my agency?" And that's kind of how it started.
Oh wow, that's really a great story. But did you ever, like, it seems like your first introduction was travel was your partner's family, right? Did you have any idea of how the industry operated, especially over here, before you got into it?
Not at all. I was originally, I worked in retail sales management, so some of that transferred pretty nicely. But I had no aspirations to join the travel industry at all. But from the moment that I started working with what is an incredible team of professionals, I kind of fell in love with it. I saw the difference that they made in the trips that they helped plan. And you're helping people at a really kind of happy time in their life as well. So
Yeah.
for a product or service to sell, I can't imagine anything better. But yeah, had it not being a part of my wife's family. It was actually her grandmother that started it, so I'm third generation owner now.
That's great.
I would have never known.
Yeah, it is great. It's great to hear. Again, we hear a lot of family stories. I love hearing those family stories, and it's nice to hear. We had Alvin Adriano earlier on this year. He is a similar story, so I really do love to hear them. Jamie, what kind of travel and what client does your agency serve right now, just to sort of set the stage for our
Yeah.
discussion?
So they started in 1965 as the traditional brick and mortar travel agency. You had to use a travel agent to travel anywhere. Over the years, that kind of evolved. We're now about 90% leisure and maybe 10 or a little bit more corporate. Lake Oswego is a suburb of Portland. It leans kind of affluent, and we've certainly taken advantage of that and really focus on those kind of once in a lifetime or upscale travel things that we can really kind of add value. We know there are a lot of booking options out there for people wanting to do kind of the simple stuff, and we encourage them to do that. But anytime they want a trip to go without a hitch, or they need that kind of extra attention to detail, that's kind of where we step in.
Yeah, and it seems like you describing your agency, it seems like the kind of agency that you do get a lot of referral business, like, and you do have a presence in the local community. So a lot of your clients are probably pretty close to you geographically, right?
Yeah, it's funny. That's kind of how it started.
Yeah.
Being affluent, we have a lot of snowbirds, and so we've picked up little pockets all over the country. When I first started, I focused on destination weddings and honeymoons, and because of that, we picked up brides and people that are traveling. That we've got a little bit of a presence for our romance travel sector in kind of the Austin, Texas area as well, because we did a couple of weddings out there that have grown too. But the majority, I'd say probably about 80% are local. So we're pretty active in the local community too. We try to do some local advertising and be involved in local events as well, because we know that that's kind of our bread and butter.
All right. All right, cool. All right, so we're going to talk a lot about personalized service today. We had a good chat earlier in the week, Jamie, and a lot of stuff I know we want to talk to. And the first thing it seems to be that was really big on your mind that I think will add to a lot of the discussion today is setting expectations. I know you have a lot of repeat clients who know the relationship they have with you and the advisors working within your agency too. I want to talk first about the new clients. I mean, when you're talking to a new client, I know there's a conversation you want to have with them in terms of setting expectations. What are the new clients typically expecting from a first-time relationship with a travel advisor? And then what do your advisors make sure they set in place before you continue on with that relationship?
Yeah, I think even before they speak with our assigned advisor, if they're a new client, they've probably found us on our website. We have a front desk concierge that does the kind of onboarding process, and we're pretty public about our booking process as a whole. And by the time they speak with an advisor, they've probably read it on our website and then also received an email asking for a little bit more information and talking them through our process. And so by the time the advisor speaks with them, we've got a kind of basic understanding of what they're looking to do. Not to say the advisor's job is easy from there. They then have the incredible task of asking all the right questions. I think along with setting expectations, which we talk a little bit more about, I think asking questions is fundamentally the thing that sets us apart from other booking options. Personalized is defined, is designed or changed to suit a person's specific needs. And we don't know what those are unless we ask the questions. Why do you want to go to? I know this is a line that Nolan Burris uses all the time. But why do you want to go to Alaska? If it's to see the penguins, then we need to talk about the plan again and maybe look at another destination, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
the internet's not going to build that relationship and ask your clients fact-finding questions from the beginning of the relationship.
Yeah, you mentioned how it's deliberate, like a deliberate decision to be transparent with your processes. Why is that like a deliberate decision? Why is that something you've decided has to be done with all these first-time clients?
Yeah, I was thinking about this after we spoke, and it's certainly I came into an agency that was already established, and we were doing this on some level anyway. But I think being involved with the destination weddings to start with was a bit of an eye-opener for me. I would create a web page for each couple, and it was very apparent that the more information that I had on the web page, the less questions that the guests would ask, and then also like the better the overall experience. They knew exactly what to expect from our service. They saw the different prices and room options and came to us with already a lot of information. So it made our task easier because they had the information to get started. And then they were less kind of prone to make changes or last minute. So we'd already stressed the importance of booking their flights and getting those set in. All of that was on writing, and they saw it. And so when it came to kind of redesigning our website a few years ago, we kind of leaned in and put as much information on there as possible. Now, it's important not to over-promise, but you guys are all incredible. When you actually look at the things that you do as a travel advisor, the list is as long as my arm, and that's just the basic stuff. You can always go beyond that too.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk a little bit about you mentioned questions come up, the questions that the advisor asks the client to sort of qualify them and then to find out their why, which I know we're going to talk a little bit about a little bit.
Yeah.
But what other things do you make sure the advisor tells the client in order to set the boundaries of that relationship, or clear up any misconceptions or preconceptions of what that relationship may be, particularly for the first timers? Like we spoke earlier in the week, you mentioned restaurant reservations is something your agency typically doesn't do, and you make sure a client will understand that prior to starting this relationship.
Yeah, sort of. It's certainly not, if you go on our site, it's not mentioned in our process. We don't mention doing restaurant reservations. That's not to say that we don't. For the right client, I think we absolutely would. And we would, the fee that we charge, our professional planning fee we charge, it's scalable, and we would adjust the fee based on the information that we learn from the consultation. And so if it was apparent that restaurant reservations were important to the client and they were, it was an upscale client most likely, then we would absolutely book restaurant reservations for them. What we're more likely to do, however, is provide a list of restaurants in the local area. Either way, though, because we had our process outlined and it wasn't mentioned instantly, that's something we're doing above and beyond.
Yeah, and then another thing we spoke about earlier in the week was you typically, I'm sure a lot of the advisors on the call experience this, but you might have a situation where a client comes back to you constantly for new quotes, things like that, but your agency tends to draw a line when it comes, or set some kind of expectation when it comes to providing quotes.
Yeah, again, we would typically do, if we're recommending a package through Apple, we would pull up maybe 2 or 3 different all-inclusive hotels. We would send our recommendations based on the consultation again, and then we might do a couple of revisions as well. Maybe they want to change a room upgrade, and we would kind of outline that in the consultation. We're charging this fee, and this is what it includes. Again, if the client asks for another revision, it's a step further that we're taking that's they didn't expect, and we can say, yeah, we can do one more, but we've already shown you 2 or 3 now. So if we'd go back to researching more hotels. We have those clients, right, that may start in Mexico and then suddenly they're looking at Dominican Republic or South America, and so that's a whole other quote, and so we could have the conversation about the fee again. But if we're adding 1 or 2 revisions on, then yeah, we're going beyond what we said.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about service fees in a little bit too, because I know that's something we actually haven't done in this program for a little bit. So we're going to do that in a second. But Jamie, I just want to sort of ask 2 more questions on specifically setting expectations. The first is that when we spoke earlier in the week, you mentioned this process as like a standardized process for your agency, something to be very consistent, something to be also realistic with your client. I was just hoping you could tell us a little bit about why those 2 things are important, particularly when you're starting out on a first-time relationship with a new client.
Yeah, I think if we're kicking at goal, we have to have goalposts, right? We can kick in that general direction, but if we haven't set out kind of what the rules are, who's to know if we made it or not, right? And so expectations basically set the groundwork for us to not just meet them, but then exceed them as well. I think
Yeah.
sorry, spaced on what I was going to say next. I apologize.
No, but I mean, having the expectations is important. I guess you were mentioning that it's for these first-time clients in particular, like it seems like something it seems like working with a travel advisor might be foreign to a lot of them, even though we know how much business is going on in the industry now. It does seem like a lot of people might have above and beyond expectations for when they are, looking at your fees or looking at the potential relationship down the road.
Yeah, it's creating an environment where everybody knows kind of what their role is. If we look at the preferred suppliers that we use, that we know and love, we use them because we know what to expect from them. And if it's a repeat vendor, then we know from our past experience. If it's not, then we have to find the information out from somewhere. We have to go on their website and look and research, or be told by our BDM what they offer and what they don't.
No.
Our clients are in the exact same position.
All right. And then the last thing I wanted to ask on this is you mentioned asking the advisor needs to ask questions in the beginning of a relationship. I think you mentioned find their why or find out specifically. You mentioned the Nolan Burst anecdote too. Any advice on those initial conversations or any anecdotes you have to share with everyone about how you can improve, I guess, the initial qualification conversation, or how you can, maybe draw out those small details that'll make it easier to provide a good personalized vacation for your client?
Yeah, delve in. You never know what detail is important. Start obviously with the wide ranging questions. Why are you taking this trip in the first place? Clients are a lot of the time used to just typing in the destination that they're going to. They're not going to actively give you the information if they've not used a travel advisor before. So you really need to take the time to start with the big questions, and then dwindle it down to the little details. And in that initial questioning, you're giving them a glimpse of everything that you're doing in the background. And you don't know, maybe the detail that they're giving you is not important to this trip. You ask if they're celebrating a special occasion or an anniversary, and they say, no, our anniversary is down the line. You can bench that information for later. You add it to their reused client base, you add it to their client base profile, and it's something that you can come back to. We have I'm working on a trip right now for a client headed to Scotland, and she really wanted to see Ireland as well, but she has limited time. There was no way that I was going to change her mind. She wanted to see both destinations within less than I think it was around 10 days she has. but in asking about everything that she wanted to see and why she wanted to see it, we managed to pick out destinations within Scotland that it was physically impossible now for her to do everything that she wanted to do in the time that she did it. And we were able to say, well, let's bench the Ireland trip. Let me do the Scotland trip for you. If it's as good as I think it's going to be, then it's worthwhile going back and seeing Ireland, and we'll book that for you as well. But if we had just gone with what she initially wanted, yeah, we could have done it, but she would have come away with kind of half the trip.
Yeah. And then quickly, Jamie, you mentioned client base. That's the CRM you use. I know the 115 or so advisors on the call use different CRMs. Maybe a lot of them use client base. My question isn't on, I guess, the program, but it's on how minute or how specific details do you make sure that are listed in client base? Do you make sure that your advisors keep on file with clients in order to, I guess, better service them, more personally service them along the road?
Yeah, we try to add a lot. I think obviously client base is going through evolution. We're excited for the next rendition to come out. I think it's going to give us a little bit of more ability to add better marketing information. You can add anything, even if there's not a field for it. You can add a remark. Like I said before, you don't know what's important, but certainly the fundamentals, their TSA information. If your clients told you before that they have their TSA pre-check and they've given their number, and on the third trip they have to stand in line for 2 hours, they're going to be pretty frustrated. On the flip side, if they get there and they see that the TSA number is on there and they don't even remember telling you, they're going to remember that for life. So those are really important. Obviously passport information as well, which both of these give you an opportunity to contact a client even when they don't have a trip planned. You can pull up, certainly client base does it, you can pull up by date to see when your passports expire, and you can contact your client proactively and let them know if their passport is coming up soon, and maybe start the conversation on another trip. The more you know about the client, the more information you have in file, the better you can serve them for sure.
Yeah, and you might have mentioned, or it might have been another advisor I was speaking to this week, but just knowing their seat preference on an airline is going to be important, because that's again something that can really improve a trip, even though it seems like such a small detail and things like that. So I guess it's important to remember how powerful CRM can be. And I think, like you mentioned, Jamie, just those having an excuse to talk to them on their birthdays or their anniversaries, things like that, is going to be important too.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about service fees. Again, I mentioned it's something we haven't done in a little bit. I'm curious. Again, we have 100 or so, more than 100 advisors on the call. We're going to launch a poll. I'm just selfishly curious about how many are charging service fees and how many are not. But Jamie, you mentioned your agency is charging service fees. I was hoping you could tell us a little bit about what kind of fee your agency charge, and if there's any philosophy behind the charging of a fee.
Yeah, of course. So we charge essentially two types of fee. There are a couple more depending on very specific fees, but 99% are professional planning fees and our airline ticketing fees. I think everyone's kind of used to the airline ticketing fees. And we used to charge like an FIT fee if it was a FIT trip to Europe or whatever. We would have something based on the number of nights, but it was a little bit kind of all over the place. Coming out of the pandemic, we opted to basically make it very simple. We charge a professional planning fee. We're professionals. We charge for our time like any other professional should. I can't think, and I know this is used a lot, but I can't think of another profession where somebody would design something and then say, here you go, if you like, I can book this for you, but give them the whole plan ahead of time. It seemed to us that we were kind of opening ourselves up for a lot of kind of wasted time. And so we with help from our consortia as well. Our consortia was a very big signature, is very big on supporting their advisors, and they had a lot of really good training on the subject. And so we kind of polled the advisors and came up with this basically this plan, if you like. But we realized that we don't want to turn away somebody that knows exactly what they want. We want to encourage those people to book with us as well. But for those clients that want us to invest the time to make sure everything goes without a hitch, we wanted to have a good scale. So our scale goes from $25 a person to $250 plus. If somebody was doing a month-long trip, we might charge a little bit more than that. And it varies, like we say, on the complexity and the timing of their vacation. It's set by the advisor during the initial consultation process. Once we've asked some fact-finding questions, kind of set the groundwork, then we'll go ahead and let them know what the fee will be, and yeah.
Yeah, and again, I know it's been a policy of your agency for a little while, but is it rare to get any kind of pushback at all when you suggest the fee? Does like you? I think we spoke earlier in the week. You said that you realize that people can go down the street to a different agency and maybe find one that doesn't charge a fee, and that's possibly losing business as like a philosophy. But
Yeah,
do you get any pushback?
I have no doubt that before they speak with us, that because we've publicized it and it's on our, I have no doubt that we have some clients that opt to book elsewhere. I also know that our closing rate has kind of skyrocketed since doing that. So my suspicion is that those clients possibly wouldn't have booked with us anyway. And not only that, they may also be already working with other agencies, and we used to see that. We've kind of joined up with a couple of other local agencies over recent years, and we've retained the phone number. And so we would have the same client call once. We would say, yeah, we'll get an advisor to start working on this, and then that client would call us again, thinking that they're calling another agency. So we knew that was happening, and our hope is that by being outright and outlining everything you offer, and again, you guys do so much that it's easy to see the value in charging the fee. We want to work with clients that see us as professionals.
Yeah, and it does seem with the fee conversation and also with the setting expectations conversation, a lot of your transparency and openness and being deliberate in how you're approaching a client goes back to something you said about it will save you time. I know I talked to a lot of advisors who are very short on time these days, and saving time, not having to explain things over and over, having those boundaries in place that you don't have to backtrack on seems to be a good policy, good amount of policies to put in place in order to save yourself some time down the road.
Yeah, for sure. And it tends to be that the clients that are looking for that personalized service that we're talking about, they're used to charging fees. They're used to having accountants and decorators and all those people. The concept isn't new to them. And it's funny, I think where we're seeing any sort of pushback is maybe clients that have used a travel advisor before. With new clients, when we look at kind of our destination wedding and honeymoon clients, and maybe this is the first time that they've used a service like ours, they almost expect it. One thing that we do offer that we've said on occasion, and maybe it's been a client that worked with us before the pandemic when our structure was a little bit different, and they're surprised that we have the fee in place now. We'll openly say, I'll tell you what, let us book this for you. We'll charge you the fee. If you come back from your trip and we haven't added to your service, we haven't improved the service that you got or the experience that you had, in some way, we'll happily refund the fee for you. We've been doing that now for almost 4 years. We started very early on in the pandemic, and we have not had to refund a single fee. There's always something that we're doing, and the clients see the value in us.
All right, so I want to move on to a few more questions in our last 10 minutes or so
Yeah, of course.
about personalized service, about details specifically that you can try to pick up on to add to that personalization, because I think that seems to be the big jumping off point for a lot of advisors, is figuring out how you can personalize, not actually doing it, but figuring out those little details. And I know post trip, a lot of that goes on too. What kind of information is important for advisors to get post trip, and then what can they do with that information once they are able to have those conversations with their clients?
Yeah, and I think we should always be contacting clients after they travel. We might have a suspicion that everything went smoothly. We might know that something went horribly wrong. Like either way, you're going to get really valuable feedback. You can ask in that if they've got any plans for future travels, but even kind of more subtle than that, just by contacting them afterwards and mentioning that this is, maybe it's the first trip, maybe it's the 10th trip, but mentioning that this is one of many, and when wanderlust strikes again, to think of us, but showing them that that trip that you booked wasn't just a one-off, that this is a long-lasting relationship that you're looking to have with them, that you've learned from this trip what they liked and what they didn't like, and if there was anything else specifically during the experience that we could have done better. That information is key, not just for planning future trips, but showing your client that you care, and that you're going to use the information in the future.
Yeah. And I know, again, like you mentioned the CRM before. I assume a lot of that stuff is good to put in the CRM as well. How quickly or do your agents, or I guess in general, I'm sure there's a wide range of possibilities, but how quickly do you start on the next trip? Do you ever start on the next trip on that post-trip conversation?
We're constantly trying to market with our clients. Again, a lot of them are local, and we'll try to be present there. But sending, whether it's physical magazines, we do a lot of magazine and promotional materials through our suppliers. But email marketing is really useful. There are a couple of different philosophies. You can send multiple emails in a week. We opt to send a personalized kind of newsletter once a month with specifically from us, and we'll pick some of our favorite vendors to kind of highlight in there. You can share articles of places that you know that they want to go, or even the place that they've just been, just to say, hey, I saw this and thought of you. I know right now during wave season, we're all too busy and overwhelmed to do this. But it's as important now as it is, maybe even more important, to contact your clients. I know certainly I see so many like booking.com commercials, and we're getting like vendor supplier pamphlets in the mail. They don't necessarily have a travel advisor call to action. If you're not reaching out to your clients, somebody is, and you want to be top of mind for sure.
Yeah, I think Booking.com had a spot during the Super Bowl, and I know there's been news this week about some airlines cutting clients out of their cutting advisors out of some of their loyalty programs, things like that. So like you mentioned, Jamie, I think it's going to be more important than ever to stay in front of clients, particularly when they're thinking of travel. Let's talk about a few more things. I want to talk about sort of being accountable to clients. I know, first thing I want to ask is, I know you mentioned that a lot of your business comes in word of mouth, which I know a lot of advisors have as that predominantly as the engine that's driving their agency forward. Is that something, again, you deliberately do? Do you or do your advisors ask for referrals specifically when you're having a chat with your client?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a couple of different ways to do it, but going back to the accountability thing, I think we're accountable firstly because we are here for the lifetime, right? That is an important distinction from us from other booking options. Where at the end of the trip, we want to capture that future business. A client might stay at a hotel once, they might go on a cruise once, but we want the client for the lifetime. And so we make ourselves accountable. And a lot of the time, that's taking credit for when things go well, but it's also, and you don't need to take the blame if things don't go wrong. You could be the best travel advisor in the world, and there could be something completely out of your control. But as long as you take the time to talk about it and explain kind of the why it happened, I think the clients tend to understand. I'm very lucky. Our advisors do an incredible job with their clients. That I don't very often have to have that conversation. But if we ever do, they know, as long as you're pointing out that they would be in the same position, whether they booked with you or not, and that and looking for a way to help resolve. So contacting your BDM, or this is where preferred supplier relationships come in so important, right? There's been a couple of occasions where I've gone to either directly to the preferred supplier or to my consortia and said, listen, this happened and it just wasn't right. That kind of weight the client would never have on their own, and we can kind of bring that to the table. As far as asking for referrals, yes, I think it's pretty easy. The line that we really like to use is, I love working with you. You have been an incredible client. I would love to work with more clients like you. Do you know anybody? And you say that to obviously the clients that you like. You don't just want them to be recommending you to everybody. They want you want them to know, sorry, that it's the type of travel that they booked with you is what you're looking to book in the future. There's another trick as well. You can ask for not just a referral once the client's traveled with you. You can ask them, hey, is there anybody in your family or a friend that you would like to come along on this trip with you? And then you're not only getting a referral, you've got a trip that you're just adding an extra person to. You've already done all the planning for.
Yeah. And I think an advisor I have it written down. An advisor mentioned it to me one side. The first point you made, Jamie, about making sure you're accountable. Just knowing that your advisor is invested in your trip as much as you're invested. It might not, you're the one putting up the money, but putting up the time, putting up the effort, I think it feels like you're a team as opposed to feeling like it's a transaction like you mentioned. I see a few comments in the chat about referrals. I think that's a good conversation to have too. And one other thing I want to ask Jamie, because we spoke about it earlier, was another thing post-trip that you can do to sort of help your business, and that is for online reviews. I know the world seems to exist more on the internet than it does in real life sometimes for a lot of people, and online reviews seems to be very, very important for a lot of agencies, particularly the ones who do serve a local population that might be searching keywords like travel advisor near me or travel agency near me.
Yeah, so important. And it's actually for us, it's an area I think it's got a little bit easier to know where to send clients to post reviews. It used to be we would send them Facebook or Yelp or Google, and we'd give them the option. I think how the industry's evolved, Google seems to be the best place, certainly for right now. We do have, it's easier to ask for feedback than it is to ask somebody to go and write a review. And so we might start there first, and whether we ask for feedback in an email format or we send them, we have a feedback section on our website. And then from there, once the client fills it out, it'll send them to say, hey, would you like to post this on Google too? But yeah, reviews are crucial. And if they are posting feedback on your website, you can then use that information. You have them tick a permissions box, and you can use that information on your site as well. There are a couple of good technology companies. I really like Reviews. Reviews on my website, it's called. They have a monthly subscription. It's tiny. I think we are grandfathered in at a really low rate, but it purges the internet for your business, pulls the reviews, and gives you a little widget that you can install on your website.
Yeah, that's the first time I mentioned we've had of that. What was the program name again, Jamie? Because I know people are going to be asking you.
No, I'm gonna called reviews on my website .com.
Okay. All right, so just a couple more quick questions, then we're going to wrap up. I know when you have the post-trip conversation or even the pre-trip conversation, the qualification conversation, there's a lot of things you make sure that a new client might not realize but should understand about what it means to be working with a travel agency like yours. You mentioned there's a lot of opportunities to just talk about the good they might be doing in supporting a small business as opposed to an OTA, a bookings.com, like you mentioned. Can you talk to us a little bit about that, Jamie? Like what things are important for you or for your advisors to mention to clients in order to, I guess, deepen that connection with them as opposed to a connection with a simple website?
Yeah, of course. I think first of all, that supporting, most of us are small business, either small business employees or small business owners. And so boasting about the fact that you're local, that you have these amazing connections with huge international companies and destination specialists or in-country partners, or you've got these global connections, but your roots are here in the local community. You're supporting your family if you're an advisor, and I think just letting people know that you're a small local business is really important. And then I think sustainability is a topic now where people are interested. I genuinely believe that there's more interest than we know. I think people just really don't know what their options are, and so it's our job to kind of educate them, both environmental sustainability, but then also I think giving back to the communities that we travel to, and it's a talking point that they're not gonna have with a large OTA. Certainly there are big companies out there doing great things in the sustainability place, but it's really easy for us to add that to our conversation. One of my favorite, very easy to promote and completely completely accessible to anybody that's traveling, whether they're traveling through us or not, is Pack for a Purpose, where basically you look up the destination that you're traveling to. It'll tell you a bunch of hotels in that area. They're adding hotels all the time. The hotel supplies them with the information of what's needed in that community. And before you travel, you just go to the dollar store and you add some things to your luggage. You take them with you drop them off at the hotel reception, and the charity picks them up. And it's a tiny thing that your clients can do no matter who they're traveling with, which vendor you've booked with. It's something that you can offer them that just adds a new dimension to their travels that they would never know about. The other thing that we and our consortia has a Travel Elevates as their kind of nonprofit arm that really was the driving force that got me involved in this. But one of the things that we do is our professional planning fees. We donate 10% of all the professional planning fees we charge. We donate 10% back to Travel Elevates, which makes that conversation easier too, right? So instead of just saying, "Oh, we have a professional planning fee," during the conversation, we can say, "We do have a professional planning fee, but I want you to know that we donate 10% back." It's a much easier way of speaking about that. And again, we publish this on our website so our clients can see that before they even speak with us.
So just to recap, I think speaking with you, Jamie, the things that really jumped out was having your process, being consistent, and being transparent seems to be very, very important. Asking the right questions and sort of deepening that conversation with the client, deepening that connection with the client is going to be important for success. The last question I want to ask, simply because I know we have Tracy still on from ALG Vacations, but I know suppliers play a role in this conversation too. The suppliers play a role in being able to personalize stuff with your clients. You need to have those relationships. You need to have flexibility and care on the supplier side too. Any advice for how you can work with suppliers to maybe get a little bit more personal or or do something special or just enhance your clients' vacations in any way?
Yeah. Absolutely. Preferred having a list of preferred suppliers. You can have them at an agency level. You can have them at an advisor level. Consortias do a pretty good job of picking out the preferred suppliers. But the more business that you have with a supplier, the better you know their product, and the more weight you have if there is something that you need to help a client with. Some you may have preferred hotel collections and things like that too. Those are very good, where they will offer the client an extra perk or amenity or late or early checkout, and early checkout, an early or a late checkout. But mentioning these to the clients are important as well, making sure that they get them, sending hotels an email before to let them know how important your client is, or if they're celebrating a special occasion. Back to the preferred suppliers, I'd listened to Tracy and all the things that ALG offer. They're incredible. Post about those. Use those as part of your service. The 24-hour emergency, I think, is one of the things she didn't mention, but that's an amazing tool, and again, something that the client doesn't necessarily get booking on their own. But the fact that there's somebody waiting on a phone, ready to speak with them if anything at all goes wrong with their trip is amazing. Yeah, it's something that they just have that we really don't have to do any work for. Our suppliers are taking care of it for us. And then yeah, send notes. I said send notes to the hotel, but you can do that with cruise lines. They don't have the ability to ask the questions to the clients ahead of time. We've already done all that, and it's another way we can use that information that we've collected. We can let them know if there's a birthday. I was just on Explora during my birthday, and I came back one night and they had this amazing elephant made out of towels, a big birthday cake, and for clients, that's something they don't know that the cruise line can do for them. And if you go out their way, make sure that it happens, but let the vendor know that this is that it's a special occasion. It can add so much to the experience.
Yeah. That's a great point. I know that, and again, that's something that we mentioned the OTAs a couple times. That's something that I know wouldn't happen with the OTAs. But Jamie, that's the thing we're gonna wrap up. Thank you so much for your time this week. Like I mentioned, I know you're 3 hours behind us. I know time is tight for everyone now, so I really appreciate your time. I see Tracy's still here. I don't know if she wants to jump on to say thank you, but we also want to say thank you to ALG Vacations for sponsoring today. We really appreciate their continued partnership with us, and we know a lot of advisors will be on the announcement later today with Jackie and Carson too. So yeah, there's Tracy. I think you're muted, Tracy. All right. We'll wrap up. Thank you, Tracy. Jamie, again, thank you so much. Thanks everyone for coming out, and hope to see you back here again. It's going to be 3 weeks. March 14th, we'll be talking about a new topic for us we're really excited about. And until then, I hope everyone stays safe, stays healthy, and yeah, hope to see you very soon.